dogs ready to suit up for war. How about you? Yeah, you can count on me, soldier. I'm looking for some women that's praying and not pretending. How about you?
Yeah, you can count on me, soldier.
I'm looking for some dogs ready to suit up for war. How about you? Yeah, you can count on me, soldier. I'm looking for some women that's praying and not pretending. How about you?
Yeah, you can count on me, soldier.
I'm an angel, just below, let the record show. I've been holding back, now I'ma let it go. Let them know that Jesus is commander-in-chief, the general of my heart, body, and soul. Call me on my roll. What's the orders, my lord? Cross the borders with swords and fists. Tell the world less, they need to enlist in me. Believe will take the power out your enemies. Give your true brothers and sisters, scratch all your frenemies. Give your peace in the midst of the storm. My Lord can never go wrong. Cause people unique, never the norm. Strap on your gear. It's a war for righteousness, and I'ma stay right in this. 666 be fighting us, and Jesus' name enlighten us. With the wisdom and strength to go the whole length. Just to bless your name, let the fragrance fill this house throughout. Every room, crack and cabinet. My cabinet ain't having it. The world wants war, Bibles we grabbing it. Cause I'm an angel, you know the angle. Tight, never loose like bagels. I rap singles. I talk to my Lord Domingo. Don't fake the tingle. The spirit of truth will have me raising the roof. Yeah, I'm looking for some dogs ready to suit up for war.
This is the fun part. A bigger hammer will fix anything. Actually, we use this end on Jeremiah.
They're gonna see some tail whips, 360s.
I'm gonna do some tail whips, but I'm gonna be on my front wheel on the deck of that ramp of the jump box, which is 5 foot tall. Throw some tail whips down, and then I'll do that, but I'll come in backward, faking. So we're gonna try to nail that tonight.
We're gonna do a lot of flippy-do things on our bikes, and we're gonna fly through the air, and then we're gonna tell the kids about Jesus. My name is Jeremiah Anderson. I am 28 years old and living in Manly, Iowa. I don't know what it's like living in Manly, Iowa because I'm never there. I'm always on the road. We have a house there and that's about the extent of it. When I was in junior high, I wasn't any good at baseball, football, basketball, whatever, and watched a movie called Rad, and on there's a kid who's had a paper route and he rode his bike, did all kinds of tricks, and I saw that and I thought, hey, I got a bike in the garage, I can do this, and that's what I started doing, just go out in the front of my parents' house in the street and started riding my bike and doing tricks. Biggest riding influence, probably just all the guys on our team. Frank and I have been riding together for over 10 years and I've learned a lot of things from riding with him, and just all the different guys. There's so many different styles that I just pick stuff up from. I think my favorite type of riding is just ramp stuff. I like jumping a little bit. I also do a lot of flatland, so kind of a little bit diverse, but mostly skate park type stuff. My favorite trick, jumping, I like doing X-ups. They just feel cool to me, and I also love doing decades on flat. Hardest trick that I do, 360 lookbacks, and they're not real consistent, but I like doing them and they're tough.
the skirts. I've been delivered, I've been delivered, I've been delivered, I've been delivered from the streets, from the heat, from the enemy. Now he stands under my feet. I've been delivered from the muck and the mob, from the lustful desires, from the crips and holding 9 millies with loaded clips, from the lonely nights in the park and snuffing cats in the jaw, from the violence, from the stupid rules of my worldly pops and hating the cops, from everything grimy. The Lord breaks chains that bind thee, baby. I got life now, my lips praise Christ now. I treat women right now, I got more respect. I'm blessed, I'm alive, I got Christ, the light of the world, who leads me beside still rivers. I was delivered from death at my baptism. I joined Christ in the resurrection. I got eternal life and I got it through Christ. I've been delivered, baby. I've been delivered, I've been delivered, I've been delivered, I've been delivered from the pain, from the hurt, from the skirts. I've been delivered, I've been delivered, I've been delivered, I've been delivered from the streets, from the heat, from the enemy. Now he stands under my feet. It takes a lifetime and a moment. I'm just a poet who writes lines to rep the chosen. My life was stolen, but he delivered it like 5 pies with pepperoni. Away from sin, straight to him, word to town, cologne and disciple. By the sermons, to be urban is a bonus. The Bible, where I learned it, the survival must be focused. To the streets, I return it. It's a cycle, always turning side relief.
Go big or go home.
Delivered from an ominous plan. Now yet the promised land, my gates fall from golden escape scarred. It's swollen, my fake heart was broken and fate started holding. I face God and told him come in. His great arms are open, shaped by grace, traded chains to an embrace. My day of atonement, sun rays blazed the page and started smoking. The great power of God can shake down opponents and then still fear like crazed dogs.
My name is Luke Hastay from Minneapolis, Minnesota, 22 years old. I am a vegetarian. My biggest riding influence would have to be Tom Haugen, local pro, X Games guy from Plymouth, Minnesota. Also Frank Stewart, guy that rides with us here on Chaos on Wheels. The most exciting thing about traveling with Chaos would have to be just being able to connect with different people all over the country and see and ride new terrain.
My name's Frank Stewart. I live in Mason City, Iowa right now, and I'm 35 years old. I started BMX riding when I was about 12, 13 years old, and I've been doing it ever since. I haven't ever looked back. A friend of mine showed me a magazine with some people doing bicycle tricks in it, and I just thought that was the coolest thing, and years went by and now I'm doing it 20 years later. So my grandmother bought me my first bike. It was a Huffy from Walmart, actually. I hooked up with Jeremiah in '95, and it's allowed me to showcase my relationship with God by riding my bicycle, showing lots of kids some tricks on my bicycle and leaving them with a positive message too. And that it's just the best feeling in the world, going places and doing shows and showing the kids, you know, there's a little bit more to life than maybe what they're used to. It's just the best feeling in the world to actually do what I do, set personal goals for myself, and actually show my creativity on my bicycle. My favorite trick is anything on a 8-foot tall vert quarter pipe where you just do an invert. It's kind of like laying your bike flat, but you kind of invert the bike up some so the wheels are higher than the rest of your bicycle. So them just feel real cool to do if you do them right. My greatest accomplishment that I had was about 2.5 years ago. We had a major contest in Minnesota, and I ended up getting first place out of all the riders in Minnesota, and I always look up to them because they're so good. But that day, I guess God was looking down on me, and I got first place, and that was the best feeling ever. So I had a great time that day.
We're here now at the Chaos on Wheels booth, and this Chaos on Wheels stuff it's chaotic.
I'm looking to take up riding a bike.
You want to ride a bike?
I think I found my purpose finally.
It's riding a bike?
You think you got what it takes?
What you sitting there for? All my ladies get up. What you sitting there for? All my men.
You about ready for the gun show?
What you sitting there for? All my men get up. What you sitting there for? All my ladies get up. What you sitting there for? All my men get up. What you sitting there for? All my ladies get up. What you sitting there for? All my men get up. Better jump on, jump, 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 better jump on, I got my soul with me. I got my helmet with me. Come on, got speed, go, let's go. I got my soul with me. I got my helmet with me. Here we go. Let's go. Hey yo, I spit for them real wild youngins in the midst of the club, throwing them bows bugging. In the midst of the thugs, throwing them cold slugging. Give me your mic plugging, I fight with words, hugging the track like.
How long you been thinking about this?
You've already 38 seconds.
Are you about ready to take the next step?
Smash the last heat, give me the light, I'll take it and pass it along. In the form of the rap, the song of crafty and all like Rambo.
This is Rock and Roll 101, and here we are with the boys of.
He's the kind of cat that'll smash your fingers when you're losing your hand, though. I loosen my ammo, looking for.
So, I hear you're involved with this thing. What is this? Yeah.
Watch how effective this is. Hey there.
I got my soul with me. I got my helmet with me. Come on, got speed, go, let's go. I got my soul with me. I got my helmet with me. Come on, people, let's go.
So, why are you here?
Man, I need to find the bathroom.
There you go.
I'm chilling
There you go.
You do.
Everywhere I go with Chaos on Wheels. I'm their biggest fan. I love Chaos on Wheels. They're awesome.
You like square pretzels too, don't you?
But he will not bust, not us. Like hands cut off, you couldn't knock us. How many styles, Sean? Many. I rhyme for the big bucks, even the little pennies. Ministry by any means, the word is alive. Gospel rap that counts do shows by high five. Trees in jars, X in the club, I'm speeding far, but he saved me, man, cause you need these bars. Better jump on, jump, 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 let it pop on, 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 let it pop on. I got my soul, I got my helmet, come on, got speed, go, let's go. I got my soul, I got my helmet with me. Come on, people, let's go.
We're gonna go up there and show these cheerleaders how to cheer. It's the breakfast of champions.
I'm gonna do a decade because that's my favorite trick.
Well, this is a little bit more of a challenge. There's a little bit more obstacles in the way. Plus, you got a 4 feet drop off the end of the stage, so hopefully everything will go right.
Well, on a stage there's always the risk of falling off, of course, but this stage here has a lot of extra props on it, adds a few more obstacles, but we're professionals, we can handle it.
I'm actually going to use the country porch setting. I'm going to come through the screen door on my entry, so we have that all rigged up already.
All the way from Iowa, this guy rides a bicycle like no one's business.
This is our van. This is kind of our home away from home. Keep all the ramps, bikes, and stinky pads back here in the trailer. And this is where we live when we're on the road. I usually sit right up here. It's where the driver sits. The rest of the guys don't like to drive. They think the trailer's too big and scary, so I spend most of my time right up there by myself. You notice we have a passenger seat, but it doesn't get used a whole lot because you notice back here we do have a bed, a PlayStation 2, a ton of videos, and a TV that's not hooked up right now. This seems to be the most favorite spot in the van because everybody just hangs out back here. It's like a big living room. Actually, this is probably the first time I've been back here in about 3 months, so I usually sit up there and they watch TV and stuff, and I miss out on a lot of good times, but I'm the driver, so that's cool.
I'm Chris Williams. I'm from First Baptist Canton, and the guys this week been calling me the food guy.
The food man is awesome.
The food man makes me speechless.
The coolest thing about being food man is I get to eat what I cook. We've been feeding about anywhere from 25 to 50 people 4 times a day. We've had hot wings, and salad, and sandwiches, and homemade barbecue, and all kind of stuff. They've eaten pretty good this week. The worst thing about being food man is these crazy vegetarians that keep you up to 1:30 in the morning looking for groceries so they don't starve to death.
Chaos on Wheels actually started, it wasn't called Chaos on Wheels, it was called the Absurdly Insane Clothing and Bike Shop. And don't know where I came up with that name. It was a group of friends we were sitting around, that's what we came up with. We were in, I think it was about 11th grade, somewhere in there, and we all rode bike and didn't have anywhere to buy parts and stuff, so we just decided we were going to open our own bike shop. The first 2 years of having the bike shop, we actually had customers in Japan, Germany, all across the United States, Brazil. By the time I was 18, I actually owned a business, had the bike shop up and running. The biggest challenge at running your own business at that age is people think you're a joke, you know? I mean, you go into a bank and they're like, you want how much money? Yeah, right, you know, and they laugh at you. And the hardest, I think the biggest challenge for me was convincing people that I was for real and convincing people that it could work. At the time, BMX skateboarding wasn't popular, it kind of died off and nobody really knew what I was talking about. So just convincing the people I needed to, as far as lawyers and bankers and whatever, that what I was doing was for real, was going to be successful, and that I really loved it enough to make it work. I had so many friends who had no vision, and now I look back and they're nowhere. They're working jobs they hate, or you know, worse, some of them in jail, whatever. And as I grew up, I had a vision. I knew something I wanted to do, and that was my dream, and that's what I went after. And it kept me out of trouble. You know, it gave me a focus, something. So when my friends said, "Hey, come on, let's go party," you know, I'm like, "No, man, this is what I'm working on. This is where I want to go." And if you don't have a vision, you don't have any end point. You know, your life just continues to go on with no purpose, and life gets pretty unbearable, actually, you know, without a vision. If you have something you're working toward, you can always look back and say, oh yeah, I'm making progress, I'm making progress. But if you don't have anywhere you're making progress to, there's no point even living, you know. I meet kids all the time who don't think they can be successful, and I think the key to success with me wasn't my knowledge of anything. I mean, I didn't know what I was getting into. I just said, this is what I want to do. And I think the key to being successful is finding something you really love, something you really want to do, and making it happen. And you're going to have to learn things as you go, and you know, through what I've done over the past 12, 15 years or whatever, I've had a lot of failures, you know. I mean, I've had to work other jobs to pay the bills, whatever. But you take those failures, and rather than giving up, you look back and you say, hey, you know, this is something that I can learn from, I can grow from, you know. It's kind of like, I always relate it back to riding a bike, because you don't learn tricks the first time you try them. You fall down, you got to get back up, you know. And life's the same way, you know. It's not your skill level that makes you successful, it's your drive to want to accomplish it. So if you find something you really love and you just stick with it, it's going to come out, you know.
Stuff in the back, goes bouncing around the front wheels, then going fake it. There he goes, rolling down. One hand and one pull, making for ramp.
That's good stuff right there. That's good stuff.
Going up on top of a 5-foot tall ramp, making it twice as hard. Just spinning around a bit. Half crank.
Grew up in a broken family, non-Christian family, and dropped out of high school, 10th grade, got into drugs, got into hanging out with the wrong crowd.
As the sun comes up, Lord, I see you. As the wind blows on my face, Lord, I feel you.
As I grew up in all that, you know, and going to church and everything, I think I got somewhat rebellious, because by the time I got to junior high, high school, I didn't want to have anything to do with it, and I was just really concerned about an image and, you know, being cool and hanging out with my friends and stuff.
I didn't have major goals, nothing to look forward to.
Started doing Chaos on Wheels, started doing the bike stuff, and that was my drive. That was my, you know, I'm going to be famous and rich riding my bike. And got to be about 21 years old, been doing the bike shop thing for about 3 years, and everything was just kind of, wasn't progressing anymore. It kind of died off. I was 21, still living in my parents' basement, you know, trying to make this thing work. I just sat down one night and said, you know, God, what's the deal, you know? I mean, I've been a good person, I've stayed out of trouble, I've gone to church, you know, I'm supposed to be a Christian, how come you're not taking care of me? And it was almost like God just started speaking to me and said, you know, you're doing all this for the wrong reason. And that's when I really woke up and realized that there's nothing that any of us can do here on earth on our own. You know, it takes Christ in our life to give us the, you know, the ability to be successful here, to be happy here, and eventually to get to heaven. And I just sat down that night and kind of claimed Philippians 4:13, that verse, as my life motto. It says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And just sat down and said, God, if you want me to stay living in my parents' basement for the rest of my life, working this job I hate, then that's your will, that's what I want to do. If you want this Chaos on Wheels stuff, if you want this bike stuff to work, if you want me to use this to glorify you, then make it happen. And it was at that point that things just started to fall into place. And when I gave up and stopped doing it for the riding, for the bike riding, for the fame, for, you know, whatever, and just started doing it to glorify God, then that's when God actually started just allowing me to move on and be successful.
Once I made the decision, like before I didn't know, I was scared, and once I realized that God's always there and that's His promise, you know, to protect you as long as you're obedient.
The beginning point of knowing Jesus Christ your Savior and Lord is admitting the fact that you're a sinner, that you do things that offend God, and every one of us has done that. You know, we're born into that. Being a Christian isn't about church, it isn't about a set of rules, it isn't about things you can do, can't do, whatever. It's about knowing Christ as your Savior and Lord, and the fact that He came here and died on the cross for us, you know, I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, it's all about a personal relationship, and the cross is the beginning of that. It's coming where you're at with all your problems, all your burdens, everything that's weighting you down, that big empty hole that's in your heart, and saying, God, I need you to fix me, you know? And there's nothing any of us can do to fix ourselves. We need God to come in and just begin living in us and you know, allowing the Holy Spirit to work, and that's what cleans us up.
Folks, this concludes the edition of our show.
Brian Clyde show.
We are now stepping into another dimension
The battle zone.
of our show. The show just keeps going and
Growing.
Hey yo, I spit for them real wild youngins in the midst of the club, throwing them bows bugging, in the midst of the thugs, throwing them cold slugging. Give me your mic plugging, I fight with words, hugging the track like TV Dad, my CD blast, and them Yukon trucks while your CD scratch under the back seat.